Okay, today we are reviewing for the test. It is a big day today. Let me just make this print big because it's a big day. Test review. Woo. I wish there was like a fire emoji I could put there or something after important, but there isn't. So we'll just stick with that. Now, why is this important? It's important for a couple reasons. And man, my hands are dry, so I'm gonna get a little bit of lotion for the hands. Got to stay moisturized. You already know. A couple reasons why today is important. Um, this video is important because, hey, it's going to get you ready for the test, number one. Okay, it's going to help you do your little assignment that you have today as well. But if you're smart, you'll pull this video up on YouTube or wherever you got to pull it up on the day of the test, and you'll use it as a guide to kind of guide you through the test. Like, hey, how do I do this problem again? Let me just bring up this, example from Mr. Grasmick and have it take me through. So, just so many ways this video is important. But I think it's. Let's just get going. I think that's what we need to do. All right, so I think the format of this is going to be I'll do a problem and you just watch. So you're going to use your eyes. You're just going to watch, no pencil, no nothing. And then I'm going to give you a problem to do. You'll press pause, solve it on your own, and then press play when you're ready, and we'll go over it. And I think that's the best way for us to kind of roll through um, this review. Okay, so number one, the first thing that we started doing was simplifying radicals. So let's just say simplify. If I could spell, that would be nice. And I'm going to give you a couple, I'll do two problems. Okay, I'll do an easy one and then I'll do kind of a little bit of a trickier one. Okay, now for simplifying radicals, remember we got to break this down. And you're just watching me for these two problems. You're watching. Square root of 20 is 4 times 5. You could also do 10 times 2. That works. But remember, whenever you break something down, you got to cross it out. Now, the only other thing I can break down is this 4 to be a 2 and a 2. And we're always looking for pairs. So everything's broken down. There's my pair of 2's. It's going to come out as a 2. Okay, and these are my leftovers. They're going to stay inside the square root. So I have a 2 on the outside, I've got a 5 on the inside, and that's my answer. Now on the test, it's going to look like this: 2 rad 5, right? 2 radical 5. So that's how I'm going to write it on the test: 2 rad 5. Now over here, it gets a little trickier because we have more numbers to break down and we have more pairs. Okay, so 32, I'm going to say 8 times 4 is 32. Cross it out. This guy's 4 times 2. Cross it out. Let's break down the 4, 2 and 2. Cross it out. Let's break this guy down. 2 and 2. Cross it out. Okay, now we've got our pairs. We have a pair of 2's. It's going to come out as a 2. We have another pair of 2's. It's going to come out as a 2. And we have one left over. There's our leftover shown on the inside. If we have more than one number on the outside, we multiply them. 2 times 2 is 4. And if we have more than one left over on the inside, we multiply those as well, but we don't, right? If there's another 3 here, we'd multiply them, but there's just a 2. So our answer is 4 root 2, or you could write it like this: 4 rad 2, because that's how it's going to show up on the test. Okay? Now, let me throw something at you. And what I'm actually going to do on one of these problems is I'm going to stick a number out on the outside out here. And because I want to make sure that you have a problem where you have to multiply. So don't be afraid if I stick a number on the outside, but I'm going to do it. So these are your practice problems. When I get these down, I want you to press pause and go ahead and solve them. All right, now is when you press pause, solve them. Okay, come back and then press play and we'll go over them. All righty. So we have 3 root 18 here. I'm going to break down the 18 to be 9 and 2. You could have done 6 and 3. It still would have worked. And here I've got 3 and 3. There's my pair of 3's. It's coming out on the outside as a 3. And I have my leftovers on the inside. I've got more than one number on the outside, so I have to multiply them. 3 times 3 is 9, and my leftovers on the inside is 2. So on the test, this is going to say 9 rad 2. 9 radical 2. Okay? Now up here, square root of 80, I think most kids are going to say 8 times 10. Cross it out. This guy's 4 times 2. And then 2 times 2. This guy's going to be 2 times 5, right? And now we're looking for pairs. A pair of 2's comes out as a 2. A pair of 2's comes out as a 2. Okay, multiply those guys on the outside and we get 4. This is my leftovers on the inside, 5. 4 rad 5. Okay? Pretty simple. Now, moving on. The next thing that you're going to be tested on is the Pythagorean theorem. All right, and Pythagorean theorems, remember, we're dealing with right triangles. The Pythagorean theorem is a squared. My wife's calling me. Hold up, let me press pause real quick. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too glitchy there, but I had to talk to my wife for a second. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. And remember that across from the right angle is always c. That's all that matters because these other two are going to be a and b. It doesn't matter which one's which. Across from the right angle is c. Now let's go and see what that looks like. So you're going to see questions that look like this. Find x or find whatever, and you're going to be given a right triangle. That's a horrible picture, but just imagine that it's a right triangle and it looks good. Now, you're going to get some numbers like 5, then you're going to get 12, and then they're going to say x. Now, it's your job to, and just watch me, and then I'll give you one to do on your own. A squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? It's your job to identify what's what. So you need to shoot across from here and call this guy C. Then you can call this guy A and call this guy B. It doesn't matter which is which. And we plug these guys in. So I'm going to take this X and plug them in for C. I'm going to take the 5 and plug them in for B. And I'm going to take the 12 and plug them in for A. Well, what we have is 12 squared plus 5 squared equals X squared or C squared. Doesn't really matter. Now let's do the math. 144 plus 25 equals x squared. Add these guys together. I think we get 169 equals x squared. And at this point at the end, remember, you have to square root it. And you get x equals 13. Right? We've done this. It shouldn't be new. Right? This is review. Right? It's review. Now let me give you one where you're not going to try and find the hypotenuse. It's going to be our practice. But you're going to try and find maybe a leg. You'll try and find A or B. So let me just go ahead and say x, 15, and 17. And let's see if you can go ahead and find x. So press pause, solve the problem, and then come back and we'll go over it. All right, now, let's see what happened here. Hopefully I gave you numbers that worked. I think I did, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay, go over here, call this guy C, call this guy A, call this guy B. Doesn't really matter the A or B. Okay, we're going to take the 17 and plug them in for C. We'll take the X and plug them in for A, and the 15 and plug them in for B. So it looks like I've got x squared plus 15 squared equals 17 squared. Okay, now, I know 15 squared is 225, but I don't know what, let me get my calculator. I don't know what 17 squared is. So that's an issue for me. 289. All right, 289. We need to get the x squared by itself, which means I'm going to subtract 225 from both sides, and we get x squared equals 64. Last step is square root, x equals 8. Okay? Boom, boom, boom. Hopefully that's good for you. Now, our last type of problem is a Pythagorean theorem problem that doesn't come out clean. All right, so this is where you're just going to watch. It doesn't come out clean. What do I mean by that? It's not a whole number. So imagine if we have something like this. We have a 2 and we have a 3 here, and they want us to find x. So just watch. Don't even write anything down. So you're thinking, okay, I can do this. This is easy. This guy's C, this guy's A, this guy's B. So you say a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, 2 squared is 4 plus 3 squared is 9 equals x squared. Okay, and 9 plus 4 is 13 equals x squared. You take the square root, you take the square root, and you get this crazy decimal. And it's not clean. And you're like, I did this wrong. No, you didn't. Okay, just look at your answer choices because it's multiple choice, right? In this case, our answer would just be x equals rad 13. And then you try and break it down. You'd be like, oh, what times what's 13? Okay, you can't break it down and you can't simplify it at all. So if you can't simplify this, your answer is just rad 13. But you always want to try and break it down to see if you can simplify it. Does that make sense? You want to break it down to see if you can simplify it. Okay, so let me give you an easy one. Remember, if you can't simplify it, just leave it. But let me give you an easy one that you can break down. Okay, so something like this. These are our last two problems of the review, and then we'll be done. So we'll call this 2, we'll call this 2, and we'll call this x. So write this down, press pause and solve it, and then we'll come back together. All right, now we know this is C, which means this guy's A and this guy's B, or this guy's B, this guy's A, doesn't matter. Okay, so we say a squared plus b squared equals c squared. All right, and we plug them in. 2 squared plus, what's our b? 2. 2 squared equals, what's our c? X squared. All right, 2 squared is 4, plus 2 squared is 4, equals x squared. Okay, and then you get 8 equals x squared, right? Last step is square root it, cancel. Now, if you see rad 8 down there at the bottom, don't pick it yet. You got to see if you can break it down, because some kids are going to see rad 8, they're going to go down and just pick the answer and get it wrong. Break it down if you can. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. Now look, there's our pair. It goes on the outside as a 2. Those are our leftovers on the inside. So x is really 2 on the outside, 2 on the inside. 2 radical 2. So your answer would be 2 rad 2. It's the last type of question you're going to see on the test. Okay, but I want to do one more just as practice because I want to make sure you kids got it. Find x. This will be our bonus problem. Let's put a star right there. So let me say 6, 2, and x. Okay, see if you can find it. Press pause, and then press play when you're done. Okay, first things first, shoot across. C, A, B, right? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Let's plug them in. My A is 2, so I've got 2 squared. My B is x, so I'm just going to put x squared. And my C is 6, 6 squared. Okay, 2 squared is 4. I'll leave the x squared. equals 6 squared is 36. Subtract this guy to the other side because we want x by itself, right? Minus 4, minus 4, x squared equals 32. Square root, and don't stop here. Don't stop and pick rad 32 down at the bottom because you're going to get it wrong because we got to try and break it down. 8 times 4, 2 times 4, 2 times 2, 2 times 2. And everything's either broken down or crossed out. Okay, let's circle our pairs. Pair of 2's comes out as a 2. Pair of 2's comes out as a 2. Leftovers, right? Multiply these guys, 4, and my leftovers are 2. 4 rad 2 is your answer, and you're going to see it in the test as 4 rad 2. Okay, use this on the test. Use it. Use it on your assignment. Use it as much as you can because I want you to get a good grade. Tests are worth a lot, and we don't have a lot of tests left. Okay? Hit me up if you have any questions. Private message me. Email me. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. Okay?